Now, Brits take an average of 8 attempts to get that perfect picture for social media, with men, surprisingly, the most image-obsessed, taking at least 9 attempts. So we thought we'd dig deeper into this today and talk all things picture perfect with the singer and actress Alexandra Burke. Alexandra, thanks for joining us. It's lovely to see you again.
And you too, my darling. Thanks for having me.
It's a great pleasure. Now, many of our listeners will remember you from the ITV series X Factor, which you won the 5th series in 2008. That kind of got me thinking that back then we weren't doing selfies. We didn't have camera phones. I mean, I had my first camera phone in 2012. So I'm guessing you'll tell me that was a different era, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, back then, like social media wasn't even really a big thing as well. It was all kind of like, yeah, but you had to make a phone call to get in touch with people and school ways of life, really. And now you can just message someone online or, you know, make a comment on something and people see that that's a form of communication, which it is to a degree, but it's not, you know, it's not like picking up the phone and calling someone. So yeah, back then when I won nearly 14 years ago, it was just very different time.
And I guess then you kind of had more time because it would have been what you and I grew up with, you know, roll of film.
But yeah, that was the era of all that, wasn't it?
You couldn't kind of wipe and redo. You had to wait for the film to be developed, didn't you?
Yes, you did. And those are the best days, in my humble opinion. I actually have a load of photo albums that my mum has so kindly left us behind with all of her memories and stuff that she's kept. And I'm so grateful for it, because when you look back at all the pictures and stuff, you think to yourself, wow, what a life you've lived. And actually, it's not like you can go through a phone and have all those memories. To have them physically there, I think is so special.
Do you still think it's important, though, to print stuff out sometimes so we've got those physical memories?
Gosh, yeah, absolutely. I definitely think it's super important to print pictures out, because you see, with this campaign that myFUJIFILM are doing, it's important for us to understand that we need to all live within the moment and not try and you know, like, for example, I've got my phone right here. I looked at my phone this morning and saw 97,000 photos sitting there. And you think to yourself, wow, what do you do with 97,000 photos? I mean, I know I'm not going to sit here today and say to you, I'm going to print them all, but I'm going to print, majority of them have been printed and actually are in photo albums and across things. But it's like, those were the days where you could, I just miss those days when you could actually physically hold a photo and have those memories. But I do think it's important to encourage people to remember that we don't have to have the picture perfect moment in order for them to be printed.
I was intrigued to read that back in 2008, you had the Christmas #1 off the back of X Factor, and that sold 105,000 copies in one day. By today's standards, that's a huge achievement, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Massive, massive achievement. I think, you know, the music industry is such a special place for me personally, and to be, you know, to be within it and to be selling music, I think it's, for me, it has my whole heart.
Let's talk a bit more about selfies and the perfect picture. I mean, I'm guessing you said you've got 97,000 photos on your phone. There's a lot of selfies on there. Give us the Alexandra Burke's tip for taking that perfect selfie. Do you kind of have that sort of pose?
Not a pose, just make sure you've got some flash on. Whether it's some good light, whether it's natural light or whether you've got a ring light around you, whatever that may be, make sure you've got good lighting. But my phone definitely isn't filled with a lot of selfies, believe it or not. It's actually filled with like my dogs, family pictures, my newborn baby. It's definitely ramped up since giving birth, I tell you that much. But I'm not a selfie type of person. So for me, I don't indulge in all of that. And, you know, each to their own if they are a selfie person, but I'm not. I like to capture things within life and in the moment, because I see the beauty that's in front of me, which is, you know, my life really. You know, my dog right now is looking at a squirrel and wants to run outside, but she can't. And if I could take a picture of her right now, honestly, it would melt you. Bella, come here. It's like I'm talking to a little child. Come here, baby. Come here. Come here. Come say hi. Look at this. There it is. She's just been outside chasing squirrels and wanting to play. Come on. Oh, God, she's on the seat. Great. Bella. Okay, now go down because you're wet. Thank you.
In terms of what you post on social media, are you obsessed with it being perfect, or are you a bit like me? I think, oh yeah, that's fine.
Look, I feel like we're all guilty to a sense, in a sense of wanting to post that perfect picture. And living in this day and age, you can find yourself wrapped up in all of that to go, oh, the lighting wasn't great here, or the mess in the background, or the angle wasn't right, etc., etc. But, you know, I've learned to, over the past few months, I've learned to understand that actually what is perfect. I've never liked that word perfect anyway. I've always talked about it in interviews for years, saying it's not a word that I love, because who decides what perfect is? There is no such thing as perfect. We all are unique. We all should be, you know, happy within our own skin, within our own bodies. And I know that takes time to get to that place in life mentally where you are happy with it and content within yourself. But that's why these conversations are amazing. A million Moments campaign with myFUJIFILM. This is why it's special, is because we're getting the conversation going, encouraging people to think before they want to post a picture and go, actually, let's live in the moment. Let's post those kind of raw, authentic photos, unedited, unfiltered, and show your true, authentic self, rather than it being something that's filtered. You've had to position things in the background and do this and do that. You want an organic life because you only live once.
You work in TV, musical theatre, where everything is highly rehearsed. Do you think the public don't mind now if something isn't quite perfect?
I just think that people are so much more clued on in the sense of seeing people's true authentic selves when it comes through TV or comes through on a radio interview or whatever the case may be. I think what I would really love to say is that it's the younger generation we have to encourage to have that way of thinking, because the general public in itself, like, people want to see real, you know, the raw side of people, see vulnerability within people. The younger generation is, you know, unfortunately, so sometimes caught up on their devices that they don't look up and see the beauty that's in front of them. And I think it's important to encourage them to see what's in front of them and to be their true authentic selves.
We spoke earlier about the X Factor, that was the show that gave you the springboard into what you're doing now. And yes, you've had a successful career in musical theatre. You know, The Bodyguard is one of the shows you've been in. Mm-hmm. What do you like about musical theatre?
Do you know, I love the fact that my mum always used to say to me when I was doing musical theatre, she said to me, never get complacent, because every single night is somebody that's spent a lot of money on a ticket to come and watch you. And although it's the same show that you're doing, it's a different audience that's watching it. So you need to remember that when you're going on stage, and that way to reignite your brain and the fire in you to go, actually, every night is a new night. Because you can, you know, get to a point where you're going, oh gosh, I'm repeating the same show. But I've never felt that way. I've always walked on stage, been really grateful to have the opportunity. And, you know, sometimes doing 8 shows a week, sometimes 14 shows a week isn't for everyone. But for me, it's great. I love meeting people and going, you know, to stage door after to see those who have come to visit us and, you know, taking the time out to come and see us. And you can't beat live theatre. When things go wrong, you've got no choice but to get on with it and fix it. And that's what live theatre is about. It's great. It's magical.
Do you prefer singing or live theatre, or are you happy to kind of combine the two?
Well, you know what, singing and doing my own thing is always going to be my first love. That's why I'm actually, after doing the panto at the end of the year at the Palladium, I'm actually taking a break to go back to singing. So that's always going to be my first love. Love doing theatre. It's been so enjoyable, but I'm at a point now in my life where I just want to concentrate on my music. So that's what I'm concentrating on now. So, yeah.
And you've become a new mum this year. Congratulations on that. How's that been for you?
Absolutely wonderful. I'm having such a beautiful time. It, of course, has its ups and downs because tired all the time. Really, the sleep was definitely fast, but it's all worth it. And my goodness, it's just the best thing that's actually ever happened to me.
Let's finish by talking about Strictly Come Dancing back on our screens at the moment. You took part in 2017. What do you enjoy about that show?
Do Do you know what? For me personally, what I loved about it is that the fact that my mum actually couldn't afford to do any Latin or ballroom lessons for us as kids. So that was a really big childhood dream for me to learn, in a very short space of time, but to learn Latin and ballroom. And I had, a great time on the show. Of course, it has its ups and downs as well because it's quite grueling, but it's just lovely because the nation loves that show. People love to dance and it makes you feel good.
And looking at this year's show, any standout winners, do you think? Or
do you know, I would have to say I'm most definitely behind Fleur East. I think she's absolutely wonderful, and she's a really gorgeous, gorgeous human being, and I'm hoping that she does very, very well.
Well, Alexandra Burke, it's been an absolute delight to talk to you again today and talk about all this sort of stuff. It's lovely to talk to you. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, darling. Take care. Thank you.